Hello and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial we're gonna do this very easy stitch, one row repeat. But if you like to do this as a scarf, I think it's great. It's very warm, but this one is gonna eat some yarn. In order for, let's say you want to make a scarf with this, I will suggest that you have at least 240 grams of yarn. Yeah. And if you want the sides of the scarf to be like this, then you're gonna have to chain a long chain. For this scarf I chained 150 chains, so we're gonna go with even number. This stitch works with even number. This scarf I used 5.0 millimeter crochet hook, even though this yarn recommends at the most that I should use 3.5. With this, working with puffs, it's best to go with at least a number bigger or two numbers bigger. The stitch, because I worked with 5.0 millimeter crochet hook, it's a little bit elastic. If I was to work with 3.5, then it's gonna be quite tight, the stitch. Yeah? So it's a little bit elastic, it's loose, it's quite easy to wear. Yeah. So for this scarf, I chained 150 chains. And you decide how wide you want, because you're gonna, when you chain the long chain, you're gonna keep working up, yeah, the rows. So I don't know, it's up to you. This mine, it's wide 10 centimeters, it's long 136 centimeters as long, yeah. So it's not quite long, 1 meter and 36 centimeters. If you want longer, then you're gonna chain 160 maybe, yeah. Depends. Some of you like shorter scarves, some of you like longer, but it's wide as 10 centimeters, yeah. Okay, well, I left here at the end the tail. So if you want to put tassels, leave when you start chaining the chains, leave a tail long, and then this is gonna kind of, you know, with the tassels will hide. So if you don't want these sides on the scarf, when you put the scarf on you, then you're gonna chain maybe, I don't know, 20, 22, 24, 26 chains, yeah. But if you are to chain only, let's say 20, 22, 24, what we have here, you're gonna have this, yeah. At least this you can hide with tassels, yeah. You attach tassels, fringes. But if you want like this, then you're gonna have to chain a long chain, as long as you want the scarf to be. Okay, the stitch is very easy, one row repeat. I'm gonna use the same yarn, but I'm not gonna use the 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. I'm gonna use 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. So this yarn recommends that I should use 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. So I'm gonna go with one number bigger. For the scarf that I showed you, I went with 2 numbers bigger. So you decide which crochet hook you use. Okay, so like I said, this stitch works with even numbers. So I have here 12 chains. I'm gonna show you how this will look if you are to chain a small numbers of chains instead of 150, 160, yeah. So we're gonna skip the first chain, and into the second chain we're gonna do a single crochet. But I will recommend for a scarf or a blanket, at least the 2 bottom of or the top, you're gonna have the stitches on the bottom and on the top very nicely. Okay, so we're gonna flip the chain and we're gonna go into the second chain from the hook through the bump, which the bump has only 1 string of yarn. So we're gonna do a single crochet. We're gonna move to the next chain, single crochet, and this row is gonna be single crochet in each chain. You can use this for a scarf or a blanket. You can use variegated yarn. You can use changing colors, maybe every 2 rows, and that way the tails you're gonna have only on one side of the work instead of changing every row, which means you're gonna have both sides the tails. So the last chain, single crochet. Okay, now we're gonna chain 2. You're always gonna chain 2 at the end. Turn your work. Now into the first stitch here, we're gonna start pulling up puffs. So you go into the first stitch once, yarn over the hook, go back again into the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over the hook, go back again into the same stitch. So I went 3 times. If you want the puffs bigger, then you're gonna put the yarn over your hook and go 1 more time. Yeah. So now yarn over and pull the yarn through all these loops. Then we're gonna chain 1. It doesn't matter if you make the chain loose or tight, it doesn't matter in this stitch. We're gonna skip the next stitch and into the next we're gonna repeat. Once, yarn over the hook, go back again into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over the hook, go back again, pull up a loop. So you're gonna have like 6 loops, 2, 4, 6. We're gonna pull the yarn through all 6 loops, chain 1, skip the next stitch and into the next we're gonna repeat. Once, twice, and the 3rd time. Pull the yarn through all 6 loops, chain 1, skip the next stitch and into the next we're gonna repeat. Chain 1, skip the next stitch and into the next we're gonna repeat. I think this stitch works very nice if you are to use, let's say, the yarn from 4.5 millimeter crochet hook to, let's say, maybe 5.5, and higher than that depends on the yarn, if that yarn recommends close to that crochet hook number, but it's gonna be really heavy if you use a bigger crochet hook. If the yarn is like this, 3.5, then I can afford to go with 5.0. But if the yarn is thick, it's gonna be heavy, yeah, on you, especially for a scarf. So we're gonna skip the next stitch and into the next, which is the last one. We're gonna do the same. We're gonna do a puff. So once, go back again, 2nd and the 3rd time. Pull the yarn through all 6 loops, chain 2, and from this moment forward, this row that we're gonna start now is gonna be the row that you're gonna do on and on until you finish your project, whatever you choose to do with this stitch. So now into the first, in here we're gonna, did I chain 1 there? No, I didn't. I think I didn't. No, I didn't. Yeah, that 1 chain is very important, otherwise you're not gonna have the next row where to do the puff. So don't let your mind wander like I just did. So the space that we have to do the puffs, it's here. Yeah. So we're gonna skip this puff here, and it's that space in here. So you're gonna go into that space and you're gonna start pulling up loops. So once, twice, and the 3rd time. Chain 1. We're gonna skip this puff, and the space is right here between the 1 chain and the puff. Do not put the yarn over the hook when you start to do the puff, because if you are to do this and go into that space, you're not gonna have this space here. Yeah, so just go directly into that space and start pulling up loops. chain 1, skip the puff, and into that space here. See? So once, twice, and the third time, chain 1. You're gonna skip the puff, and it's that space there, because it's when we're doing now, right now, instead of putting yarn over the hook and going to that space, without doing that, this is the space that is created when we go right now in here. So this one, this line here, it's what forms that space. So if you find yourself that you don't have that space, that means you put the yarn over and you start pulling up loops. So at the end here, we're gonna skip this puff, and we have the chain 2 at the end, and that space between the space between the chain and the puff. So you're gonna go into that space, and see, and you start pulling up loops, second and the third time. Pull the yarn through all 6 loops, chain 2, turn your work, and you're gonna repeat again. So you have the puff here and the space. So you're gonna go into that space, and you're gonna do a puff, chain 1, skip the puff, and into that space you're gonna place a puff. So for example, you want to finish your work, you want to close. So we started the first row with a single crochet in each chain, so we're gonna finish the same. So when you do, let's say this is the last row that I'm gonna do, and I have to close the work, when you chain 1, leave it a little bit loose, because we're gonna work into that chain 1. Yeah? So you have the puff, skip the puff, the space in there, and we're gonna do a puff in that space. So when you chain this one, leave it a little bit loose. So at the end here, we have the puff, the chain 2, and the space. So we're gonna go into that space, and we're gonna do a puff, pull the yarn through all 6 loops, and now we're gonna chain 2, turn your work, and into the space where we usually do the puff, we're gonna do a single crochet, and we have the chain 1. So we're gonna go into that chain 1, through that chain, see, and we're gonna do a single crochet. Next is the space where we originally do the puff, and then the chain. So if you are to chain a little bit tight, it's gonna be hard for you to go through. Okay, so single crochet in each, let's say, stitch, and chain 1. So we have the stitch, the space in there, single crochet, and now we have that chain 2. We're gonna go on top of the second chain, and we're gonna do a single crochet also. You're gonna chain 1, pull up a loop, cut the yarn, and then hide the tail. Now if you are to chain, let's say 20, 22, 24, this will be the long side of the scarf. Yeah? So if you want like this and not this, then with this one you're gonna have to chain a long chain. Yeah, depends how long you want the scarf. So the stitch is reversible, front and back is the same. This one for a throw, for a scarf, is really nice. If you want to try this stitch, try it with, let's say, with variegated yarn. It's a very beautiful, this one, very beautiful. But like I said, leave a long tail when you start chaining, and then this tail is gonna blend with how you say, with the tassels or fringes, if you choose to put, yeah, in each let's say between the, you're gonna attach here and then the next tassel here, and it's like you attach the tassels between the puffs. Yeah, you have the puffs here, and maybe you'll attach in between, so this will look a little bit much nicer, the ends. So if you like this this stitch, is very easy, goes really fast. So one, like for this, for example, with this one is the same like we did here. It's just you are gonna have like this. Yeah. So finish, if you are to chain a long chain, make sure that you finish with one row of single crochet in each stitch, in that space that we do the puffs, and into the chain. Yeah. Well, I hope you like this this stitch, but I think this this stitch works really nice with variegated yarn or changing colors. Well, thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye.